Sales of new cars in Canada hit an all-time high earlier this year, driven largely by debt-fueled financing.
It's been a continuous great market in the automobile business because the rates have stayed so affordable. People are able to refinance their old vehicles by trading them in and then reducing their payment on a vehicle that's 2 years newer.
But what's good for Canada's car dealers ain't so good for Canada's biggest banks. Credit rating agency Moody's worries Canadians have too many car loans, credit cards, and mortgages. In fact, the ratio of household debt to income is at an all-time high.
As you add more leverage to any system, it becomes riskier and less able to absorb shocks.
In other words, there's a higher risk of loan defaults. That hurts banks, and that's why their credit rating was cut. The banks affected? All the big ones. Toronto Dominion, Bank of Montreal, Bank of Nova Scotia, Canadian Imperial Bank of Commerce, the Royal Bank, and the National Bank of Canada. Each one of those big six had their baseline credit rating downgraded by one notch. Still very good, but not as good as they've been.
The big six banks here in Canada are still very highly rated institutions, and on a global basis would be in the top 10%, certainly, of banks that we rate around the world. This is not a red flag.
But it is a caution for one particular segment of Canada's population.
It can be summarized as this: young people, overwhelmingly, who have bought their first home within the past 10 years with a small amount of down payment. That's the category at risk.
Moody says governments have done what they can to cool hot housing markets, but to lower credit risk, really only two things can do that: a stronger Canadian economy or less borrowing. David Aiken, Global News, Ottawa.